everyone. The time is now 6 p.m. and I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Madison City Council to order. I'd like to ask Pastor Deborah Timmons from Asbury Church to come to the podium.
Let us pray. Oh, dear and merciful Father, we thank you for this day that you have made. We are grateful for the many blessings that you have stored upon us. Bless this council meeting. Bless the agenda. Bless, oh God, everyone that is gathered here, Lord. We pray that everything goes smoothly, Lord, and anything, any disagreement be done in a spirit of love. Bless us collectively and individually, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Timmons. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Mayor Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Robleski. Here. Councilmember Spears. Here. Councilmember Powell.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here.
Council President Bartlett. Here. Councilmember Denzine.
Here.
Councilmember Seaford.
Here.
Okay, we have one amendment to the agenda. We're going to pull the item under the mayor's line item for this evening, and we have no other changes to the agenda. The agenda is approved. We're going to next go to the minutes, 2023-03-RG, February 13th, approval of minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. Ready for a vote. Councilmember Seaford.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett. Aye. Councilmember Robleski. Aye. Councilmember Spears. Aye. Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Aye. Motion passes. Next, we have minutes from our work session number 2023-02-WS from February 15th.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Ready for a vote. Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett. Aye. Councilmember Robleski. Aye. Councilmember Spears. Aye. Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Aye. And the minutes are approved. We have two presentations this evening. The first one is from Warren Averett. I see Mr. White and Mr. Nelson here in the audience. Always good to see you. Would you like to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Adam Nelson. I'm the audit engagement partner for the city's audit, as well as the audit partner over the venue revenue report, which we're going to present to you tonight. And that's in relation to the revenue that comes from BallCorps.
Is it on?
Oh.
There you
go.
Last time I was up here, I also had issues with the prompter, so 2 for 2 now.
Consistency.
Exactly. To start, to give a little bit of background, as many of you are aware, back in 2018, the city entered into agreement with BallCorps regarding a master licensing agreement, which outlines some revenue flows. Herein, we refer to it as venue revenue, and then there's also a clause in there that allows the city the right to audit the venue revenue, and that's what we are engaged to do. Now, we are not engaged to actually do a complete audit. We are engaged to examine certain areas of the revenue and certain expenses. Therefore, we cannot give an opinion like we do over the city's financial statements, but we're going to go through what we did do and what exceptions we found. I'm not going to go through each of these in detail, but I'm kind of just going to walk through really a summary of what we did. BallCorps maintains something called summary sheets, which is a listing of all their non-baseball event items that contain the revenue number, the expense number, and then a calculated net income number. So the first step we do is we get this listing and we recalculate it to make sure all the totals add up and cross-add like they should. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure this list is complete, that there's nothing that's been missing or left off this schedule. So to do that, we actually get all of the 2022 bank statements, and we haphazardly selected 5 deposits during the year and obtain the supporting documentation of their deposits. We then go in and we inquire with BallCorps as to whether they relate to non-baseball revenue. And let me take a sidestep. When I say non-baseball related revenue, we're talking about non-minor league baseball revenue. If it's related to, say, the baseball tournaments that Auburn does or some of the high schools do, that is considered non-baseball revenue in this term. So once we inquire with them, if they tell us, yes, in fact, it is non-baseball revenue, we verify that that is included in their summary sheets that they've listed. We also go one step further, and we go and we get the event schedule for the stadium, and we make sure that all of the non-baseball events that are listed on the calendar are included in there. When we did these two steps, we didn't have any exceptions to report. The next thing, now that we know we have a complete listing, the next thing we do is we go in and we say, okay, well, let's actually test the schedule. Let's see and make sure that what they're reporting is correct. So we select one event or one date from the following 4 events: the kids' day camp, movie nights, baseball tournaments, as well as the Christmas spectacular. In addition to these that have multiple dates within them, the ballpark also hosts one-time events. And from this category of events, any of them that had a net income of $20,000 or more, we've selected all of them. For the rest of them that had net income of less than $20,000, we selected a sample of 3. So for each set of these, so from the 4 dates that we picked from the last slide and all the events from the one time that we selected, we obtained a detail of the revenues that totaled to what was on the summary sheet, and as well as the expenses. And then we made a sample of individual transactions and traced them back to supporting documentation to make sure they were appropriately supported and categorized correctly. When we did this procedure, we did not have any exceptions to report. One of the next main revenue streams comes from the base licensing fee, and that is in your quarterly installments of $62,500. We examined all 4 of those deposits that were brought into the city's financial records without exception. In addition, you have parking revenue that you received some money from, and that is all related to non-baseball events as well. We selected 10 non-baseball events and made sure that the parking revenue reported agreed to supporting documentation as well. Lastly, we looked at your performance license agreement fee calculation, and this is based on the number of game announced attendance over the whole season. So we obtained that listing. To make sure that listing was complete, we compared that to the amount of tickets that were scanned at the gates as well as sold in the ticket system. And the attendance number that was reported is the larger of those 3 numbers. That would produce a higher revenue figure for the city. And that is the same number that was used by BallCorps in their calculation as well. So once we recalculated the amount without exception, we then obtained evidence of the payment from BallCorps to the city without exception and agreed the amounts also. Based on all of this, we are now able to report that based on our procedures we performed, we noted no variances in the dollar amounts reported by BallCorps related to the items we tested, and we found no significant deviations in what BallCorps reported to the city related to the subset of venue revenues that we examined. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions or comments from the council.
Council, any questions? I know you also presented this at the Finance Committee meeting earlier this evening, so I know you had a chance to look at that a little further. I have one question with regard to your slide where you selected 5 deposits for the year. I think you said you selected them haphazardly. Do you mean randomly?
Well,
or they weren't the same as the ones you did before.
That is correct. So that was a little bit of auditor speak. So in audit world, there is a differential between random and haphazard.
Okay.
Haphazard is when you judgmentally make the selection. In technical auditing terms, it can only be random if it's done by a computer.
Okay,
so
you really haphazardly did this.
Yes,
okay, I just wanted to make sure I was listening to what you said.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And when you were doing this haphazard sampling, BallCorps had no previous insight into what you would be selecting.
No, ma'am. They provided us all of the bank statements, and they uploaded that into our secure portal. We downloaded that, and our team made those selections and then informed them what we selected.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for all what you guys do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Okay, and our second presentation is by BallCorps, and Garrett.
I'll get it up there for you.
Okay. All right. Well,
thank you everybody for allowing us to kind of take a step back and look at the year of 2022. Otherwise, we just be full steam ahead and keep going. So I appreciate this opportunity. First off, I'd like to start off with our mission statement. Our mission statement is to unite communities by creating positive and lasting memories, one experience at a time. That's what we try to do at Toyota Field on a daily basis. We make our decisions based on our core values, which are integrity, passion, innovation, teamwork, and accountability. And hopefully you see that every time that, that you come out to a game or a non-baseball event at the ballpark. We consider ourselves a community centerpiece. Toyota Field is a place to gather. You know, we're not a church, but we're a great place to go to after church on Sundays. We have 11 Sunday games this year. Even though during COVID, we actually were a church. So we had, I think it was Summit Crossing that was out there every day. So, but we take this role seriously. You know, we have a lot of non-Trash Panda games. And there's some photos of some of those events that took place. This year we had, it's hard to say how many events we actually had, because we had some events were 45 days long this year, like the Christmas Light Show or the ballpark, Big Old Ballpark Fair, which is 10 days long, but technically that's only 2 events. We had a whole bunch of high school baseball games. We had a crawfish festival, beer wine festival, a whole bunch of events up in the stadium club. So there's something for everybody at Toyota Field here. We had a whole bunch of high school and local college games. We had roughly a little over 20 high school games this year, along with Alabama A&M. Played a couple of games there against Murray State in Eastern Illinois. So we brought some folks down from out of the area into town. The high school games, you know, we don't charge the schools anything to play, which I think is rare in this industry. We like them to sell a lot of tickets so we can hopefully break even on these things, but it's something that we need to do with, you know, as being part of the community centerpiece that I was talking about before. But we did have one really big college game last year. We brought the FCC to town. We had over 6,700 in attendance for the Auburn game last season. When Auburn took on Tennessee Tech, had a nice comeback win, and took home the win over Tennessee Tech, and which started off their season on the way to the College World Series. Interesting fact about this game is we had a kid called, his name is Sonny DeShera, played for Auburn last year. I believe this game was in March, and he went on to the College World Series, and then after the season was over, he was drafted by the Angels and ended up playing as a trash panda for the last 2 months of our season. So that was pretty cool story there. All right, and then we had the Toyota Anniversary Concert. Interesting combo for the concert was Big and Rich, and then Flo Rida. So we had country and rap, or I guess, I don't know what type of music it is, but Boots with a Fur, I believe, is the famous song by Flo Rida. But they helped us celebrate Toyota and all they do for our communities as well. So we went from rocking out to chilling out to the Artemis Splashdown event. We were contacted about seeing if they could use the biggest TV in Madison to watch the Splashdown event. And we had, you see some photos up there of some probably rocket scientists and some future rocket scientists up there. But it was a great event. Brought in a whole bunch of people from out of the area to come watch this that have never been to Toyota Field before. So it was a really cool event. You can see everybody was bundled up. It was cold, it was raining, but people still came out. So it was a really cool event. And once that Artemis landed, it almost sounded like it was a walk-off homer. The crowd just erupted. It was a really cool experience having that here. So now we go from splashdown to touchdown. There we go. All right, we had, I don't know, I could be misspeaking here, but I believe it's the first NCAA Division I college football in the city of Madison's history. I'm assuming. I could be wrong, but we had UNA versus Jacksonville State. The bottom left photo is ESPN Game Day, and that's us there on the bottom there saying Jacksonville State will play UNA at Rocket City Trash Panda Stadium, also known as Toyota Field. But we'll take the publicity of Trash Pandas on ESPN Game Day. But that was a really cool event. It was a lot of work for one day. Hopefully we can do it again and play a whole bunch of high school games, maybe some more college games and stuff like that, and utilize this venue as multi-purpose like it was designed for. So as we were ripping out the football field and setting up for the light show, we were on the concourse celebrating Madison. On November 4th, Madison Mayor Paul Finley was delivering the State of the City address, and I thought we were busy until I was listening to your speech with all, celebrating all the successes of the City of Madison over the course of the year. We really do have a lot to be proud and thankful for being here in the City of Madison. We capped this off with our last fireworks spectacular of the year, which I think was like number 28, I think, for the year. So, of course, we like to blow it up at Toyota Field. All right. 2022 brought us the Trash Panda Foundation, which is a 501c3 organization. It's dedicated to educating and promoting healthy lifestyles through sport and to positively impact communities in the North Alabama region. It's basically our nonprofit arm of the Trash Pandas. We can use our marketing team and our social media platforms to help raise money and even spread more, throughout our communities here. Here's some of the things that we raise money for. It's like a little bit of an overlap there, but we do all of our on-field jerseys. When we have those specialty jerseys, we raise money for other nonprofits, including our own, and then we get to spread that wealth a little bit. If you bring your dog to one of our Wednesday games, it only costs $1 for a dog, but that dollar goes to a local nonprofit as well. Community clubhouse sales, for some reason, I'm not one of these people, but people like to bid on players' old, tennis shoes and sweaty hats and old cleats and stuff like that. So they gobble those things up, and it raises money for our nonprofit. Meet the Team dinner, and then also the concession nonprofits that they work in our concession stands. A lot of nonprofits come in and work in our concession stands, and we pay. Instead of the employee, we pay the nonprofit that they're representing that day, and they've been a godsend for the last couple of seasons. They've been really, really good to us, so we appreciate them. And then on the side, there's in-kind donations. We have a lot of different events. We have food drives at the ballpark. If there's somebody that's asking for a donation, we'll put a basket together for them, whether it's tickets or autographed baseball or whatever that is, so we can go and they can go and auction those things off and get people out at the ballpark at the same time. All right. As I was writing this, I couldn't believe it was true, but this was our first full season. The ballpark's going on its fourth year, but this is actually our first full season of baseball. And we were really blessed to have a great team on the field this year. We do like to throw a party every time, the Trash Pandas are in town. So we, can't control whether we win or lose, but what we do try to control is whether they have a good time or not. That's always our goal. Here's some stats here of some of the on-field stuff. The Trash Pandas finished with the most home wins in all of minor league baseball. We won the first and second half division titles, and we had 8 former Trash Pandas make their major league debut this season. Chase Silseth, Luke Murphy, and Eric Torres combined for a first no-hitter of Trash Pandas history. Chase Silseth is one of those 8 that made his dream come true of making the big leagues this year. 14 out of the top 30 Angels prospects finished the season in Madison this year. Manager Andy Schatzley won the Southern League Manager of the Year. Can't see that down there, but Madison native Charlie Weaver, Bob Jones graduate, was the minor league baseball, all 120 teams, groundskeeper of the year. So we are I'm really proud of that one. He was my first hire. Even before I moved here, I interviewed him out when I was still out in California. So I was really proud of Charlie, and it's just that much sweeter that he's a Madison Bob Jones graduate. So, all right. So once we kind of finished up all the light show and tallied everything up for the whole entire season, BallCorps payment to the city this year, direct payment from us to the city was $1.403 115. All right. We're not done yet. We're looking forward ahead now. We have 2023. We have 69 home games again. It's right around the corner, April 6th. They'll be coming into town. We got 27 fireworks shows scheduled right now, so we'll probably do more than that this year, but that's what's scheduled. We'll be home again on the 4th of July and Memorial Day weekend. Some new additions that we didn't do last year. We just had our Auburn and UNA game last week, which was a great turnout again for a February game. I think people were a little scared of the cold, but they came out. We had about 5,500 this year. And March 28th, we got Alabama coming to town against Middle Tennessee State, and I'm expecting a big crowd for that. And we have a new event. It's called Smoke in the Outfield Barbecue Festival. We haven't even put tickets on sale, but I think we have 25 entries already for the big barbecue festival that we'll be having at the ballpark this year in August. Big old ballpark fair is coming back here in March, so that'll be coming up. And we did some shuffling around with our catering and events team. We really want to beef this up. You know, before I said we got really good at doing baseball games. Now we want to continue to do great at baseball games, but then really utilize this to the facility to the full extent. You know, we hired 2 full-time chefs, and we hired a full-time catering sales manager that can go out and actively fill that stadium club. Hopefully, we've talked to some concert promoters and stuff like that. So we're really trying to push this now and see if we can make this even better. And our motto for the last couple of years is have a blast. So that's what we're looking to do. We definitely did in 2022, and we appreciate everything from the city and all the North Alabama, Southern Tennessee Valley. So we appreciate everything. So any questions?
Council?
I had one pop into my mind, and you may not know the answer, Garrett. When I was the McDabb liaison, we looked at bringing the Miracle League to this area, and I'm wondering if that could be a possible partnership.
Yeah, we're
been approached. Or?
Where I was at in Fresno quite a few years ago, we built our foundation built a Miracle League.
Oh wow!
Field. Yeah.
So,
absolutely, we'd love to.
Have you been approached yet, or
we haven't actually? I think it was 2020, before COVID, maybe it's 2019. Our front office staff went out and to the local chapter here and played.
Yeah, they have one in Huntsville. We're hoping to bring one here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd love to. I'd love to.
I'll get Karen the contact information from the previous guy.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I have a couple. This time last year, we had discussed the challenges of staffing, and I think recently you had done some type of job fair. I think I shared it even on my social media page. How is staffing looking this year?
Staffing is going to be a challenge, but like I said, those nonprofits have been really a godsend for us. With back in 2019. We were, advertising, jobs for $7.25 an hour, and we had hundreds and hundreds of applicants. Now it's almost like we're almost double that, and we're getting fewer applicants. I know times have really changed drastically over the last 3 years, but we're going to have our challenges. But just like anybody else, we're competing with a lot of these new restaurants coming into town, and Buc-ee's and all that. But we have some great returning people, and which is the base of what we're doing, and we're coming up with ways that maybe we don't need as many employees in certain spots too.
Okay, and then the final amount, the slide that you had of $1.403 million. I know periodically you've been sort of making the lease payments and different things and submitting deposits. Does it require waiting on the audit report to get the final payment, or has the final payment already been made?
No. I think we just wait on the final payment, then we make just one big whatever's remaining out of what we hadn't paid periodically going, with all the other revenue sources. Yeah.
So when do we receive the final? Or
it'll be in the coming days. The coming weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe relatively soon. Yep.
All right, that's all I have.
I just say thanks for your all's hard work. You guys. It's every night almost there, and you've got a great team, and thanks for all you're doing. As you said, it's a community venue, and it continues to be that, so thank you.
And look forward to many years of this, and hopefully we can improve on these numbers every year, so that's our goal.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. All right, now we will open up for public comments. All comments are limited to 3 minutes. As a reminder, please go to the podium and speak directly into the microphone so people at home can hear, and closed captions will work. First, state your name and your council district or neighborhood. You no longer need to state your home address. Address your remarks to me as the City Council President. The Council will not enter into dialogue at this time. This section of the agenda is for you, the public, to inform us, the City Council, about your views. If you have questions, we will ask staff to address them at an appropriate time after the meeting. We've had one comment card come in from Bernadette Mayer, so we'll let you go first.
Good evening, I'm Bernadette Mayer. I live in Heatherwood Subdivision in Renee Bartlett's District 5. I've got a summary thing, and I'm not going to have time to get through everything because I only have 3 minutes. But on the work session, I read thoroughly the work session notes, and the video, I guess, will become available when you guys do it, although I do want to comment that it would be nice to have all those work sessions archived versus just sporadic. Okay, so on the work session you had, on the community center, there was some progress input on that, but I'm really concerned about how Madison Visionary Partners is structured and how that's all working within the city, because I do think that there's kind of some following of other cities structuring things, and how Madison Visionary Partners has the Madison Chamber under it, and it just doesn't seem to make sense about how things are structured with Madison Visionary Partners to me. So that's my concern. I've also addressed this in a previous meeting too about Madison Visionary Partners. So also on the work session, the capital improvement projects, I do appreciate all the economic development things that were on there. I am a little bit concerned about the fact that some of our road improvements are tied with, the city of Huntsville is doing these things and we need to kind of tie in with them. Well, we should have that in our plan. And Slaughter Road, of course, isn't on one of these things, and Slaughter Road does have a three-way partnership, as Renee Bartlett is aware, that that'll be probably started maybe next year because it's going to be over a 2-year funding of the 3 entities. Capital improvement, I guess everything is kind of on there. It's kind of unclear on some of the funding things and how the budgets are being worked on. Oh gosh, I'm really going to be out of time soon. Between the capital improvement projects and the huge city debt that we have. And on the lighting things that's being done, being voted on tonight, we have that over $5 million Noresco loan, and can some of those lights be purchased under that loan, or is that Noresco loan specifically for the street lights? And I've talked about phase 1, how much of that's been used, what's going on with phase 2 and 3, how was the Musco sports lighting, how was that set up, and how was that vendor chosen, whatever. So obviously I'm out of time, but that Ms. Bartlett has a summary of the rest of the items that I had
I do. Thank you.
On what I wanted. So thank you
for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Please come forward.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tara Bailey, and I'm the president of I Vote Madison, and I'm also in District 5. I want to first thank Council President Bartlett for holding consistent work sessions, as they are critical to help educate the council and community on important topics. I hope to see the work sessions continue on a regular basis. I also want to thank the entire council for voting to archive the recent work sessions. Topics such as the Trash Panda Stadium upgrades, capital improvement projects, and the potential government transition have been discussed during these meetings. Making the recordings available allows citizens to hear the topics being discussed and have the time to communicate with their council members prior to important votes. Since you are holding a vote on whether each of these work sessions can be archived, I'm concerned that you may hold a work session that you'd rather not archive. This would mean that outside of the few residents who attend the work sessions in person, the meeting would largely go unseen by the general public. I urge you to amend Resolution number 2021-381-R, the resolution authorizing a policy for streaming and archiving of City Council, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board meeting videos to include City Council work sessions. I Vote Madison has continually been proponent of transparency, and so our advocacy here is consistent with our ongoing mission to increase citizen engagement. Since you have approved work sessions from October, November, and likely will vote to approve the release of the recent work session from February 15th, it just makes sense to amend the resolution to include live streaming and archiving of all future work sessions. If you choose not to amend the resolution, it sends the message that the City Council is picking and choosing which information council members are okay with residents learning if they couldn't attend the meeting. Please embrace transparency and set this change in motion tonight. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the time is always right to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council?
Jennifer Ho, Ashley State, District 5, Council President. As a follow-up to last February 13th council meeting, I would like to address the subject of council manager governance transition again, specifically the organization of Madison Forward and its other subsidiary entities and relationships to the City of Madison, specifically governance transition team, the Planning Commission, the Board of Education, and Madison Visionary Partners. At last council, I submitted that the efforts to change the government in Madison are a cynically planned and organized effort that is stacked against the ordinary taxpayer by entities like the Planning Commission, who have facilitated the change of governance by circulating the petition here at City Hall. The petition has been circulated at events at the park and at school barbecue. They have all violated the public trust vested in these boards and committees by our government and these public officials in the positions and titles that were elected by the people of Madison. I submit to you again, Madison Forward is not an authentic citizens group. Its co-chair, a member of the Planning Commission who used to be the president of the Board of Education and in charge of the School Growth Committee. Please do not insult us with the argument that it is okay because these appointed officials are volunteers. That volunteer is appointed by the mayor, who coincidentally sat on the dais and hosted the town halls for this governance transition. So, if you're coincidentally a citizen of Madison and a volunteer appointed official, you're a volunteer appointed by a city official, you're entitled to collude with donors and dollars from donors to change the government? Is that what one voice and one vote is supposed to mean? You said it only takes 4 votes to change Madison. So on that note, how many districts are y'all planning to eliminate with this council manager government? We still aren't sure, but it's on the record that Council President Bartlett and Councilmember Robleski admitted they wanted 5 districts at one of those meetings, those working sessions. When is legal planning on publishing a document with a definitive and comprehensive interpretation of precisely how this statute, this piece of legislation, this Chapter 11, no, it's Title 11, Chapter 43A of the Council Manager Act, all 116 subsections of it that apply to a Class 4 city.
Thank you, Ms. Coe.
I just want to say that that is absolutely not true. I never said 5 districts. The plan is we currently have them.
Councilmember, we're going to let the public.
Okay.
Right now, you have time.
Okay.
All right. All right. Next.
Margie Daly, Karen's district. I believe you have lost your way. The council and mayor's job is to vote for constituents' health and safety and vision. Instead, you have used political propaganda, gave us misinformation on the city manager monarchy government structure. Those that say city class doesn't matter have reached a new low. Our country has an issue with election wars. Our Alabama voting machines are vulnerable to the internet and Bluetooth. That's on the public record in the court system. 1717(5) is election law. It defines paid or non-paid political appointees and state employees. Terry Johnson meets two of the three. This council is the government body that voted to proceed with the city manager monarchy petition. To say you don't care about classes of city or updated law is disheartening, disingenuous. By the way, being complicit is a law, 32-7A-14. Class of cities is an important factor in this law. Each class has different subsections to adhere to. The council willingly brought in classes 6 and 7 cities and led the people to believe we would have the same. It's an impossibility. With this law, everything changes with the city's class. Voting is the bedrock of our nation. City manager takes away our vote on the person who runs our city. Our officials have a duty to we the people. The mayor's CEO is for us to elect, not the current council to select in perpetuity. Claiming you're just not part of the process is nonsense. You voted on the hand-picked transition team recommendation to push this forward, then got appointees, flunkies, realtors, bankers, developers, and those who receive our tax dollars as incentives through government contracts. Your benefactors will continue to reap the benefits of our tax dollars, those that gain in political status or financially, if we allow the current officials' status quo. Your flunkies state they will say anything to get a signature. Petition should be rejected. It doesn't represent citizens. Redistricting, 2.5 years? How can our future candidates get ready to start campaigning when you're pushing redistricting to the last minute? Redistrict now. It was up to the council to bring us honest information.
Your time is up. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council? Yes, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Ms. Bartlett. I'm Terry Johnson, and I am in District 6, Ms. Dinsine's district. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and clear up several misstatements that have been made about me, not only at this meeting, but at several other meetings. I teach a class until 6 o'clock on Monday nights, and it's difficult to get here in time for public comments, so I'm thankful that you had presentations earlier tonight. I'm a faculty member at UAH, which means that I am a state employee. That is true. I would like to read to you from the Alabama Code what it says about public employees and their rights to participate in political activities. Alabama Code 17-1-4, no person in the employment of the state of Alabama, whether classified or unclassified, shall be denied the right to participate in city, county, or state political activities to the same extent as any other citizen in the state of Alabama, including endorsing candidates and contributing to campaigns of his or her choosing. All persons in the employment of any city, county, or state shall have the right to publicly support issues of public welfare, circulate petitions calling for or in support of referendums, and contribute freely to those of his or her own choosing. Clearly, this states that I have the same First Amendment rights as anyone in this room. I'm allowed to share my position on council manager the same as anyone in this room. I've been specifically accused of violating 17-17-5. You just heard that. And here's what this says. No person in the employment of the state of Alabama, a county, city, or local school board, or any other governmental agency shall use any state, county, city, local school board, or any governmental agency funds, property, or time for political activities. So does this mean if I reserve a room at the Madison Public Library and use their public microphone, I'm using a microphone right now, in fact, I'm on public property, if I use a microphone and use their projector to discuss the transition to a council manager form of government, and if there are petitions in the back of the room, does that mean I'm violating the law? No, it does not. Just like when you read the Bible and you got to be careful to take things out of context, if you take part of the Alabama Code out of context.
Dr. Johnson, I'm going to have to stop you for just a moment because we have a member of the audience that is interrupting and making it difficult for me to focus on what you're saying. So I'm not going to call your time just yet because I need to have order in the council chambers so that we can allow this person to get to speak uninterrupted like everyone else. You can proceed, and I'll add a little bit of extra time because I had to interrupt your time clock. Sorry.
I'm almost finished. When you read it out of context, you might not understand exactly what that means. First of all, political activities are defined in the statute to be those in support of a candidate or a ballot initiative. Petitions are excluded from that because there is no ballot initiative until it gets on the ballot. Second, when it says no person shall use, no state employee shall use government property, this refers to the property under the employee's care and control. That means I can't use the microphone at work. I can't use my classroom to distribute petitions. It means I can't do things, political activity, with property under my control. It does not mean I cannot use the microphone at the library. It doesn't mean I can't walk on a public street with a petition. So I just wanted to clear that up and state that I would never violate the Alabama Ethics Code or any criminal statute. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Heather Morgan. I live in District 5, and I'm speaking as Vice President of I Vote Madison. It's different from what Tara talked about. And this is a little all over the place tonight. I didn't have time to polish. But as we move toward this special election, we have some concerns, and one of those big concerns is just a lack of some important information. And I'm glad I went last because you've seen, like, there's so much vitriol right now in our community around this issue. And if the city can do anything, provide any information that would at least help lessen that, I think you should be doing that. Now, I know some people, it won't matter what you do, it won't matter what you say, they're going to continue. I understand that. But there are 50-something thousand other people here, and a lot of them are paying attention. They're just not speaking up. And so if we can clarify that for them, if they see your official information, they may be able to believe it over a citizen who has no legal background and maybe has an agenda, they're for or against this transition. And we know the mayor said you were going to, or the Mayor Finley said he would be providing more information as this moves along. And so we're excited about that, and we are happy that you did provide those town halls because those were very informative. But we hope, or our request is that in providing that information, we would like you to create a web page that contains all of the resources on it, so it's really easy for citizens to go to that page. We have one on ours, but we think people would rather get it from the city. They don't want to have to go through a private organization to get it. But feel free to use ours as a base because we have lots there. And then also in that information, a clarifying statement on what has been mentioned by other people, what those exact laws are. The city attorney has even said, this is very confusing. You know, you have different years, you have different sections, you know, and if an attorney thinks it's confusing, a layperson like me definitely thinks it's confusing. And if we have a situation where a private citizen who happens to just be a volunteer and be very involved in her community has to stand at this podium and defend herself from legal attacks, we have an issue, and this is not all on y'all, of course, but I think by providing that information, saying this is the law, exactly it, explain it, have a link to the full law, it would be very helpful. The defamation is crazy. I Vote Madison has been assumed of taking money from you, taking money from Madison Ford, and taking money from MVP. So, yeah, if all of us can do anything to lessen that, I think it's good. So,
thank you. All right, is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Seeing none, we will close public comments and move to the consent agenda and finance committee report.
We met earlier this afternoon, and we've viewed the consent agenda and regular and periodic bills to be paid and found everything to be in order. With that, I'd like to move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ready for the vote?
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
I think it
was Greg. Sorry, Greg. Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Howell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
I didn't change it. I stayed consistent.
You did.
Got easier after you got past me and Greg, right?
It did.
And the motion passes. Does anyone want to highlight some of the items on the?
I was going to roll into mine if you want me to just
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I'll go into my presentations, and I'll start by, again, in each one of these, we have community partners that council funds. The ones that were on there tonight, the Community Free Dental Clinic, the Land Trust of North Alabama, Madison Beautification and Tree Board, the Madison City Community Orchestra, and the National Children's Advocacy Center are all outside appropriations that were funded through this and on the consent agenda. And again, we thank you guys for that. One of the neat things that happens in our community is people get involved in specialty areas. This council, the city, isn't, while we want to take care of everything and everybody, we simply aren't capable of that. And so many times these organizations step up and make a major positive impact for our community in areas that enhance people's quality of life. And so we thank them for what they're doing. A couple of things just right off the bat. So let's go straight to governance transition. So to let the community know, the Madison Forward Group represented their signatures to both Judge Barger in Madison County, Judge Woodruff in Limestone County. And last, week, and I guess it would be on February 17th, both of them let me know that they had accepted the signatures to meet the qualifications that were needed to put this to a vote. So we have some time, had some time to talk to them. And in talking with Judge Barger, what we've agreed is that we're going to meet with our teams the first part of, the latter part of this week, first part of next week, to make sure that we do some of what I've just heard out there. How do we make sure, and who's responsible for getting the proper information out there? And I think it's critical that we make sure that that happens. It is, whether it's do we do it, does he do it? Some of these things that are being brought up, whether you think it's ridiculous or not, is still the community needs good information. Did we meet this criteria? Did we meet this 17 point whatever? So I think in this case, is that judge that if he says I'm good to go, that we're done? Do we need to get that documented? Most importantly, how do we get how this is going to work taken care of into the community so they have the good information to make a yes or no vote based on what they believe is in the best interest of the city of Madison. So I will say this, on March 13th, we will have a date in the early part of May on a Tuesday where the vote will occur unless something dramatically changes, which we don't foresee happening. At that point, I'll be able to give more information on how Judge Barger, out of the probate judge, what we as a city will put together, and then what we will leave to the community to figure out. So I think it's critical that we look to do that. We want an informed community to make a good decision. contrary to the ridiculousness that so much of what I hear is. We aren't afraid to let the community vote, and there is no conspiracy on trying to figure out anything other than what's in the best interest of the city of Madison, Alabama going forward when we're not here and somebody else needs to manage the city. It's just that simple. And you know, you go back to what I hear from so much of the ridiculousness that comes out is, yeah, there's a lot of people, and I say a lot of people, that get involved with our city and do multiple things within our city. Some have been actually on the school board and then on the city council. Gosh, is that such a bad thing? Gosh, thank you guys for a lot of what you've done. So many other folks have been a part of the recreation committee and the things that have happened. The reality of what happens in the city is it's 10% of the folks a lot of times manage what happens for 90% of the people. And we're glad to do that, and we're glad there's a lot of people to get involved. So I want the folks to have that information. We'll get you that information. The other part of that is, I think right now, unless I've heard differently, council has already said that when we have the opportunity to do 5 or 7 council, you're looking to do 6 council members and a voting mayor. Is that correct?
At the work session, that was the direction we gave to our city attorney to draft a resolution, but we have not had that placed before us, and I think you're indicating that at the March 13th meeting is when we'll have a chance.
Exactly. We see no reason to do it any different. That's what you guys had discussed. That's what, in working with our city attorney, we will look to bring forward. But again, we'll tie that together with the date that meets and make sure there's nothing else out there that is going to stop this from happening. Set the date and then work with our probate judge to figure out who and how do we get all the information to our public so they have an informed vote. So that's governance transition. I did want to address streetlights. We had that on here. Phase 1 is pretty much done. And I think in this case, what we have now done is we met with Noresco last week. We are putting together a team that is looking, we had several streets, and I say several, a few streets and a subdivision or 2 that we need to look at on. They had said, we're not happy with the lighting. We're going to look at those to see if anything else can be done, and Noresco already knows what that is. They've got that list from us. And then there are a couple collector roads that we feel like can have better lighting. So we will be asking them to not only look at that, what can possibly be done in those neighborhoods to increase the lighting, and then bring back a game plan to this council as, remember, term of phase 2 on what we would look to do. That's going to take a month, month and a half, 2 months to get done. Part of what we also want to do, and they reminded us of this, lighting changes as foliage comes out. Right now, the lighting's pretty, there's less foliage, so we want to make sure that we have real-world things that they can look at. But we'll be working on that from a street light standpoint. I think if I go back to anything else, I think for the most part. Oh, well, lastly, and Garrett's gone, but I'm just really proud of BallCorps and all that they've done, and the Trash Panda team, for how hard they've worked to meet the number that we had set as a number that we felt like was a baseline that we could get to. And they did it in their first full year, and I think that's really impressive. And then lastly, I want to thank our city department heads and our team. When I hear that there's a lot of visceral out there, and it's a word, I don't think there's a lot of visceral out there. I think there's a small contingent of folks that will do anything they can to tell us that we're not doing a good job. We will listen. I want to remind this community that I have 2 hours every 2 weeks set aside for it to come talk and get real information, not made up, let me throw it up on the wall and see if it sticks information to build whatever I want to build. I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of what we have accomplished. We're not done. I'm proud of what the council continues to do to push forward. And we will continue to stay focused on what our mission statement is to improve our community's quality of life by taking the money that you give us and stretching it as far as we possibly can to do good things for our community. So I'm proud to be the mayor, and I'm proud of what we are doing as a team, but we want to listen to you. But you just throw it out there and you just run away? Okay, you have that right to do it, and I respect your ability to do that, but I don't have to respect the fact that you're unwilling to come talk to us. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. District number 1.
Yes, ma'am. Well, not to beat a dead horse, but I'm going to also say that no one ever said 5 districts. No one ever said 5 districts. If it passes, it will be 6 districts and a voting mayor. If it doesn't pass, it will stay the same as it is. So the number 5 never came up. I just want to clarify that. I also want to clarify, and I'm not going to be able to say it as eloquently as Councilmember Powell said it a couple of weeks ago, we are impartial on the government transition issue. I have been asked my opinion, and I've not shared my opinion with anyone else. We are totally neutral. What we are doing is we are responding to a petition. If anyone had brought a petition with regard to any kind of change in our government, we would do the same. So we are totally neutral, and we are just following the guidelines of the law. So I just want to make that very clear, and I'm going to step off my soapbox now, and I'm going to bring to you Resolution 2023-089-R. And the Finance Committee met February 13th, 2 weeks ago. We did a deep dive into these job classifications and pay grades. Mia and Kelly are here should you have any questions. They sent out the email about a month ago. I followed up with it a couple of weeks ago. We have 7 positions that are going from a grade 3 to a grade 4. These are historically difficult positions to fill. Lifeguards and crossing guards. It's just hard to beat, the restaurants and the other retail that is paying so much more. So the HR committee met. We unanimously approved this. It's going to be such a benefit to several departments. And so with that, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-089-R.
Okay, we need to clarify the number. You're reading the one.
You read mine instead of yours.
Oh, I sure am. I'm sorry. Yes, it's 2023-080-R, which authorizes changes to the job classification plan, and this is through the HR department, and this impacts many departments, building, public works, police, recreation. And so with that, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion in a couple of seconds.
Yay.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, let's have a vote.
Councilmember Roblesky.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
And motion passes.
Great.
Anything else?
Yes, thank you all so much for that. So I wanted to give everyone a Ready Fest update. It's kind of a good news, bad news situation. Bad news is the weather was really bad, which for our weather preparedness weekend is somewhat ironic. We only had probably 100 to 120 adults there with their families, but I do have a lot of people to thank. Thank Council President Bartlett, who came and spent about an hour with me, and we had great interactions with our community. Chief Gandy was there for the police department. Chief Bailey was there for the fire department. Gina was there with engineering. Public Works was there. And just want to thank the many vendors. We had a ton of prizes to give out, including a really nice safe, weather radios. Our vendors really responded, and we really appreciate them for being there. EMA was there. Like I said, Madison Fire and Rescue, a lot of different organizations. They had a special discount on tornado shelters, which was really cool. But the one person I'd really like to thank is Steve Perry. This program started with the LDS Church on Slaughter Road. They're very civic-minded, very weather-minded. It kind of outgrew their church, and so the city at first partnered the first couple of years, and then we took it over kind of as they were ready to hand it off to us. And Steve was just invaluable. I mean, he just worked very hard, and I really appreciate everything he did for the event. Then on another note, Councilmember Spears, Council President Bartlett, and the mayor and I attended the Washington update with Senator Tuberville, and it was very interesting to get his update on Space Force and, as he called it, the shenanigans going on in Washington, and really appreciate the opportunity to hear him speak. The Friends of the Library sale went very well, raised $1,600, which will go into the summer program for children for the summer reading program. Just want to give a shout out to Janetta Wilson and her team of volunteers. We'll have another sale in the fall, and I'll let you know when that's happening. They also have fun movies at the library. The March 9th movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space. From 1957, aliens attack the Earth, and it looks like a really fun movie, so mark your calendar for that. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that came to Ready Fest, and it'll be even bigger and better next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Maura. District number 2.
Yes, I wanted to mention that we have 2 districts, mine and District 2 and District 7, who have openings in the Madison Citizens Police Advisory Committee. If you are in either District 2 or 7, please consider volunteering for that, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Today, amongst all the other things that Mara listed, today the mayor and I were at a groundbreaking for Kids to Love. And that, even though Kids to Love is located technically in Huntsville, it's off of Slaughter Road, and so it's very, very close to Madison, but we have children who benefit from the programs there. And it is a very, very special place. They have, the groundbreaking today was for a mental health clinic for foster children. And I just wanted to say how grateful I am that we have such a wonderful organization so close, and one that is willing to help our students and our children too.
Thanks.
And that's all.
Thanks. District number 3.
I just have two things. First of all, you know, with what's going on with the, I guess, the governance transition committee and that type thing, facilitators. That's the word. That's what we do. We're facilitating that. Okay, that's our job. That's what we got voted to do. That's what we're going to do. We're all going to have separate opinions. I'll keep mine myself. I hope everybody else does. We don't, you know, interject into that. But again, that's their right. But that's our job. So we're going to do that. And I respect both sides, and I hope both sides can respect each other because, you know, we are Madison, and we're better than a lot of communities. And we need to keep that in mind, you know, when we talk to each other. And this day and age, it doesn't really hurt to be kind. It takes a lot more energy to not be kind than it does to be kind. So let's just do that. And secondly, so I don't venture out much, but I did go out to Town Madison this past weekend. My wife and I went out to eat, and you know we're out in an area that when I came on council was a bunch of dirt, and so now I can go out there and I can have a nice meal with my wife, and you know it was kind of cool to do that. But what was even better is that the people sitting on either side of us were not from Madison. They're from outside of other communities and had driven to Madison to spend their tax dollars in our city. So, you know, I'm grateful to the past council and this council and look forward to see what that can be. That's all I've got.
Thank you. District 4.
My only thing is we have Board of Education applications are open, and they're open through March 8th. So if you're interested in being on school board, please get your application into the city clerk's office. That's all I have.
Thank you. District 6.
Okay, first I'd like to thank Mayor for going forward on the lighting. On behalf of my constituents, they're all very happy with this, so thank you so much for doing that. Also, the Madison Street Festival, it is now time for sponsorship. We are in full swing in our drive. It's a great opportunity for local businesses to partner with Madison Street Festival to create the fund. It's free to the public event. All the information is on our website under sponsorship. The sponsorship drive ends April 1st, and vendor registration opens May 15th. We already were back to doing our planning thing last week. We're all excited. The festival is October 7th this year, so first Saturday of October, but there are lots of opportunities for sponsorship yet. It is an excellent crowd. For those that aren't aware, it's 35,000 people. It's just, if you want to get your name out there, please come and be a sponsor. The next thing is Kids to Love. I was so sorry I couldn't make it this morning. It is an amazing organization. I'm so proud that we sponsor them and that we do so much for them, and just want to give a shout out for that. Tomorrow night is the Police Advisory Committee. They're talking about how to make a complaint, and they'll go through all those steps. So that's at the Madison Library tomorrow night. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Ask Karen a question. Sure. Hey, Karen, are you going tomorrow night to the advisory council?
Yes,
okay.
please.
One of the things that we want to make sure that we support, if there's a time when another department, for what, not so much just police, but the citizens advisory coming in, if there's another department that you would like to see there to support police with what's going on there, just let us know, and we'll try to make that department head available for discussion.
Okay, that's a great idea.
What would it be, but just to make sure.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, and to piggyback on what you said, there are opportunities if you want to be involved, but this year is also the year that 2, 4, and 6 will be up again. They were 2 years to begin with, so their seats are going to be open. So I don't know, is it May? Is it the summer? I forget the exact date. I'll get that for you, though.
I think our city attorney, it's April that they expire.
It's April? Oh, okay. Well, that is really soon. All right. So if you're interested, no, serious, this is a great committee. We are looking for new people, and it sounds like a lot of places will need to be filled in April. So that and the school board. If you're interested, please get your application in. We want as many people who are interested in being involved with the school board to bring your knowledge, to bring your experience to the board. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. District 7?
Yeah, just to add on or pound on the Police Advisory Committee. We got an opening in District 7. Please let me know if you'd like to serve.
Okay, thank you. And for under my line item, I have resolution number 2023-090-R, authorizing video archiving from the February 15th council work session.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Just to address the comments I think we heard earlier this evening about archiving all work sessions. We actually discussed that at the last work session. We did not have consensus to archive all work sessions. It was determined by the council that they would like to take these decisions on a case-by-case basis. So that is, we did have that discussion. Anytime any council member wants to revisit that discussion, of course, I send out requests for agenda items, and we can discuss it further at a future work session. So I just wanted to let everyone know we have considered that, and we can consider it again. But the motion is just for the February 15th. Is there any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's ready for it up.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Okay, and the motion passes. I just have a couple of things to share. First, I wanted to thank Huntsville City Council President John Meredith for helping me last weekend give out, or 2 weekends ago, giving out awards for the All-Girls State Chess Championship. We held that in his district at Hudson Alpha. It was a record-setting event with 66 girls competing from all over the state, but of the 66, 56 were from Madison. And so chess is continuing to grow. Girls chess is continuing to grow, and that tournament was sponsored by State Senator Arthur Orr, so I want to thank both of them for their participation in that event. Our next work session is March 22nd. At that work session, we're planning to devote our time to Board of Education interviews. So as Councilmember Shaw stated, the deadline to apply is March 8th. We will then down select for interviews, and we plan to schedule those over spring break for the March 22nd work session date that's been scheduled. And that's all I have. Okay, we do not have any board or committee appointments, but we do have one public hearing, and that is in regard to resolution number 2023-084-R. The applicant or property owner may go first and have up to 15 minutes to present a proposal. After that, anyone who received formal notice of this public hearing in the mail due to their property's proximity to the subject property will be able to speak for up to 5 minutes. After that, general members of the public may speak up to 5 minutes each. And Cameron, I think you have the presentation.
Thank you. The Revenue Department, we have one public hearing this evening, a request from J&T Hall LLC doing business as Lanier House. Has requested a restaurant retail liquor license for their location at 20 Martin Street. This is a new request for alcoholic beverages at this location. All departments have signed off, and this is ready for consideration.
Okay, and we don't have anyone who wants to speak or are you taking care of it for them?
I'm taking care of it.
Okay, all right, and we're going to open the public hearings, and we have up to 5 minutes if anyone would like to address the council, anyone affected by the property, any general member of the public. Seeing none, we will close public hearings, and we are ready for a motion and second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion or questions?
I'll just say thank you so much to the Halls. We're very excited. Heard wonderful things.
Yeah, and if this passes, I think that's number 3 that's in that district. So maybe we can entertain.
Look at an entertainment district.
Okay. One more. All right.
We'll clarify that with Mary Beth. And I will say I got to attend Linear House for my first visit as a late birthday gathering, and I had so much fun. It's such a delightful place. If you've not been, make your reservations. It's going to fill up. Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Department reports. We're going to begin with engineering.
Where's everybody?
Everybody's importance right here.
Very good.
You need 4.
First, I have resolution number 2023-056R. This is authorizing professional services agreement with OHM Advisors for engineering design on project 23-011 Balch Road and Gooch Lane intersection improvements in the amount of $156,700 to be paid from engineering department.
Move to approve. Second. Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Motion passes.
Okay. Next, I have resolution number 2023-062-R, authorizing professional services agreement with Croy Engineering for design services for project 22008 Bradley Street improvement in an amount not to exceed $178,940 to be paid from engineering budget.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, motion second. Any discussion or questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski? Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Motion passes. Next.
Right. Next, I have resolution number 2023-063R, authorizing professional services agreement with Sane Associates for engineering design services on project 23010 Old Madison Pike, widening in Browns Ferry Mill Road overlay, an amount not to exceed $180,915 to be paid from engineering budget.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Motion passes. Oh, there he is. He's here. Let's get his vote.
Councilmember Seifert?
Oh, you didn't hear it. Sorry. Okay.
Michael,
Bill passes.
before you go on, I do have one question. You had announced that the Balch Road and Browns Ferry would be starting, I want to say Monday. I just wondered if that was still on track with the weather, just so I can let the people know in the area.
Sorry, which item?
Okay, Browns Ferry.
Browns Ferry, right.
Doing the overlay. I think I got a text from the city or one of those email notifications it was going to start. I just wondered if it's still on track to start.
I believe they started today.
They started today? Okay. I didn't see them on my way home, but they could be.
I had,
were they up your way?
this morning, they had everything out there on the side of the road, so.
Okay.
It may have just been staging today.
Okay. No, that's okay. We should let our people know.
If they
There's some
didn't see
signs
it
out.
this morning, they're blind.
Okay, you have one more?
Mail one out too.
Yes.
Pardon?
You have one more item?
I do. Okay. Finally, I have resolution number 2023-087R, accepting a quote from Nearmap USA Incorporated for a subscription for aerial photos and AI vector files. This is for the GIS system for the engineering department, the amount of $8,200 to be paid from the department budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw, Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Michael.
Good evening.
All right, planning.
There we go. First item is proposed ordinance number 2023-42. This is for a vacation of utility and drainage easement. You can see it there on the screen. This is at Halsey Foods, and it's west of the building, essentially behind the building, and runs along the railroad. You can see that red strip there. They're adding a cooler unit to effectively the rear of the property, and so they asked to vacate this. It's been signed off by all relevant entities, so we're asking for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions?
I got one quick question.
Yes.
So does the railroad have to get involved in this, or are they?
No, it's not on their property.
Thank you.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw, Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is proposed ordinance 2023-79, and this is for vacation of a portion of utility and drainage easement in the rear yard at 219 Coach Lamp Drive. And you can see there the home outlined, and the hatched area behind the home is where they want to put a pool. And a good portion of their rear yard is in the utility and drainage easement area. And so they're asking to vacate it so they can put in a pool. This is just a first reading, so we'll ask for your action on this at the next meeting.
Okay.
Question, Mr. Powell? Okay. The next item is resolution number 2023-81-R, and this is to approve a permissive use agreement with the Village at Oakland Springs Neighborhood Association for a monument sign that would be in the subdivision. And we should have, well, I guess, oh yeah. So in this exhibit here, this is basically this is the entrance street into the Village at Oakland Springs. These two dark rectangles represent columns, and you can see the elevation of what that entrance sign would look like. So the columns will be located within city right-of-way, the sidewalk area, and then it's going to span that street. The permissive use agreement requires that the neighborhood association would have the maintenance responsibility for it. It's been reviewed by our fire department, so fire vehicles can get underneath the sign without any issue, and we are recommending approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
How big are those buildings?
So the columns are approximately 20 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
They're not buildings. They're basically just like an entry tower, if you will. And you can see this represents a water feature. And then this is a door so that somebody can go inside to do maintenance and fix the fountain and that kind of thing. But it's really just you see them like a tower structure at the entrance to a subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
This just happens to be two towers effectively and with something that's going to span it, and it says the Village of Oakland Springs at the top.
Okay. Any other questions? How high is that span? How many feet?
So the top of this is about 20 feet.
So there'd never been any problem getting equipment underneath it or anything like that?
We did run this by the fire department. That would be the issue that, you know, the primary issue, and the fire department was okay. It's high enough. It meets their clearances.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is resolution number 2023-82-R. This is also a permissive use agreement, and this is with SS Madison LLC, and this is at the Avenue, which is the apartment project on Sullivan Street. And I'm going to just go back. So right here you can see this is Sullivan Street. This is the traffic signal at Kaiser and Shorter. Currently, the Avenue has a monument sign right there at the entrance. They're wanting to put an additional monument sign that would have tenant identifiers. So this is their existing sign that you've probably seen if you've driven on Sullivan Street. And so this tenant monument sign is what they're requesting. It's actually going to be located on private property. However, the city has utility easement over that area. And so because of that, the council has to approve this permissive use agreement should you desire to. I'll point out that the sign has received approval through the Planning Commission. This particular area has an overlay district, and so the signage goes through the Planning Commission. And I didn't mention it, but the Village at Oakland Springs sign, they have a master sign plan that also went to the Planning Commission. So the sign has been approved effectively, pending your approval to allow it within the easement.
Move to approve.
Second. Any questions?
Does the property owner have any objections since it is on private property?
So the Sealy Company, SS Madison LLC, the apartment project, it's on their property.
Okay.
Yes. And so this permissive use agreement requires them to maintain it, even though it is on their property, it's within our easement. Both permissive use agreements give the city the right, should we need to, let's say, go in and do utility work to remove that sign. We don't have any legal obligation to replace the sign, either of them.
And the tenant information would be retail tenant information?
Yes. So there is Honest Coffee, Chills coming, and then there are some additional tenants that are coming that would be advertised. So it's specifically to the Avenue tenants.
Two signs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Approving the tenant sign.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions? All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
And the last planning item is resolution number 2023-83-R. This is to approve a professional service agreement with ArcSpace Studio in the amount of $17,600 to prepare a master plan for the Farley Wan House, which is located at 225 Mill Road. This is the property that was donated to the city just down the street from City Hall. And what this architectural firm will do is have somebody do a structural evaluation. They'll document the existing house and then work with the city, Historic Preservation Commission, interested parties to develop a master plan for the property. And we would then, talk with City Council about whether or not you want to move forward with implementing that plan. So this is the first step to kind of figure out what it can be. Our building department had already looked at the house before it was donated to the city and had determined generally that structurally it was okay, but it wasn't a formal evaluation, so that's included in this price. The contract is actually for $16,000, and we've included a $1,600 contingency that would only be used if we need to. So, for example, if we need more meetings with the Historic Commission and that kind of thing, then we would have those monies available.
You said we would or would not get a stamp?
Excuse me?
You said we would get a structural stamp?
This includes a structural evaluation, yes, by a structural engineer.
there a motion second?
Sorry. Move to approve.
Second.
All right, any other questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mary Beth, thank you for your work on that.
Hey, police.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here for resolution number 2023-074R. This is to ratify an MOU with the Board of Education and with the National Child Advocacy Center for a program known as Handle with Care. Just to give a little explanation. The Handle with Care program is being implemented by several other states right now. We are going to be the first agency in Alabama to do so. The program consists of a trauma-informed notification to the schools for any type of traumatic event that our officers go to that they notice a child has been involved in. Let me give you some examples. Last year, we had several fires in which people were displaced out of their house. Well, that's a pretty traumatic event for a child. A child that witnesses a domestic violence incident in the household and then witnesses a parent being arrested. We had a middle school age child last year that unfortunately witnessed his parents being murdered over on Angela Drive. So what this program does is it allows us, as we go through and respond to such traumatic events, to identify any child that may have been involved in the event or witnessed the event, and we make a notification to the schools that the child was involved in a traumatic event, and it asks the schools to ensure that that child is handled with care. The schools are not notified of what the event is. They've specifically received instructions from the schools for teachers and other administrators not to dig into what the event is. It just notifies them that that child has been involved in a traumatic event. So if they notice any type of behavioral issues, the child's putting her head down on a desk, the child is acting out, the child seems despondent and is just looking out a window, to not handle that child as a disciplinary issue, but they have been involved in that traumatic event, and it's time to get them some help to deal with it. We've kind of been doing this informally with our school resource officers. We have an excellent group of school resource officers, and they've made notifications to the schools when a child has been involved in something like that before. But this is actually a formalized program now, and again, we'll be the first ones in the state of Alabama to implement it.
Move to approve.
Second. Any motion and second. Any questions?
Just think this is fabulous. Such a difficult time mental health wise.
It is. I went and talked to Chief prior to our meeting tonight to get a little bit more detail on it. It is an excellent program. I think it'll help the children so much that have gone through something at home. They can't really talk about it, but it just gives the teacher that little bit of extra knowledge. So the child really isn't punished, and so they really can get the help. There was also earlier somebody was talking about the fact that the word may is in there. The may is in there just to protect the child from harm. It's not to exclude the parent from being involved at all. That's not the intent. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that we are going forward with this. Excellent.
Any other questions, comments? All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Roblesky.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second is a proposed ordinance change for actually regulating record services in the city of Madison. I don't believe we've ever really had any type of regulated service there. It's ordinance number 2023-085, and it's up for first reading. Anybody has any questions of what we actually were talking about?
I'm glad you and our city attorney have been working together to get this before us, and so we'll see it at our next meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Hey, Public Works.
Be gone so long you have to wait till last.
Next to last.
Next to last. Hey, he's my favorite.
I got three for y'all to consider tonight. First one, resolution number 2023-073R, approving a professional services agreement with Mike Gentle to be paid from our public works budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Second one is resolution 2023-093R, the acceptance of the bid for the 2023-001 ITB for the gravel and aggregate stone contract. Rogers Group was the low bidder this time, $1,136.25 per ton to be paid for the public works budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? You said it was a low bidder. How many people bid on this? How many businesses?
There's only two qualified
Just two?
in our area. Yeah, 56% increase from 2020 when we bid.
56? Okay. All right. Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, our last one is proposed ordinance 2023-094 to authorize a joint purchase agreement with Madison County to utilize each other's bids. Just the first reading. Commissioner Harrell and myself are trying to do anything we can to combat the rising cost of material that we use daily. So if we can help each other on any of that, it'll help us on that.
Do you have anything coming up that we need to suspend the rules for?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, thank you. Recreation.
My favorite person. Good evening. I have resolution number 2023-077-R, authorizing purchase of lights for hexagon pickleball court lighting from Musco Sports Lighting in the amount of $85,800. Last meeting I came asking for additional funding for this project. This is the actual purchase of the lights that would light the pickleball courts. This one and the next one, the next two items, or the next item, the pricing will go up March 1st, so we want to purchase these tonight. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any questions for Corey?
Eddie.
Second. You? Okay. All right. Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes.
My second item is resolution 2023-078-R, approving purchase of lights for the hexagon softball fields that are out there in the amount of $206,900 from Musco Sports Lighting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any questions?
I was out there earlier today, actually, and it seemed like there were already a lot of lights out there. Are those being replaced or added to? What is that?
Yes and no. The softball lights will probably use the same poles, and just replace the actual lights with LED lighting.
Okay.
And then the pickleball courts, I don't think the poles will be usable. We'll have to start pretty much from scratch.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine?
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other miscellaneous announcements?
I think we should get Lisa like a city coin, so when there's 2 seconds, she can flip that coin.
Yeah.
We'll put your picture on one side and Connie's on the other.
And haphazardly decide who gets to have the second instead of randomly. I thought, what? Okay, all right. So no other announcements? Entertaining a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, tomorrow.